but data of the National Crime Records Bureau, of which is publicly available data, that's state data. There are 40,000 plus cases of violence of rape registered under the Prevention of Atrocities Act on Dalits and Adivasis. That's a huge number, 40,000.
उसके साथ जिसने भी सब्सक्राइब नहीं किया गाइस सब्सक्राइब कर देना.
जो लोग सब्सक्राइब नहीं करेंगे वो वीडियो आगे नहीं देख सकते. दबाओ सब्सक्राइब बटन.
नेता टाइप आधा काम मत करो, सब्सक्राइब के साथ साथ बेल आइकॉन भी दबाओ.
What if I told you that you were only to do a particular job? And adding to that, what if I told you that your children also will do only this job? What if I told you that you have no choice at all? Henceforth, your livelihood would depend on me. Your labor would be on my field. You would get 2 rotis and some sabji if I wish. And your children will be my laborers for the rest of their life. Would you be okay with that? Would you be okay with that? No, right? You would either turn around and slap me, or you walk away and say, no way, Jose, I can't have this, it's not my choice. My life is my choice. Well, you might ask me, what are you talking about, caste? I mean, really, Beena, caste? That was like centuries old. It happened like 100 years ago. You're talking about caste today? Seriously? Can we think about something else? No, my family is extremely liberal. You know, we have a very free family. We don't talk about caste. We don't practice caste-based discrimination. But when it comes to marriage, we only look for the boy or girl from the same caste. Seriously? My friends? I don't choose my friends based on caste. What are you talking about? Look at me. I'm the cool dude. You know? I'm the most famous young person in my college and university. I don't choose my friends, but all my friends belong from the same caste. You know, my family studied in Oxford. We're all educated. We're the 4th generation educated. You know, my grandfather was a scientist. My grandmother was a teacher in a public school. We're all educated, but we don't allow our domestic help to use the same plates. Caste? You're telling me about caste? My friends, this is the real India today. This is the India that we live in. We continue to sweep caste under the rug like as if it doesn't exist. But it's there in every cell of our body. It's there in our lives. It's there in the choices that we make. It's there in the choices with who we dine. When Babasaheb Ambedkar went to school, he was asked to sit outside the school and he studied. But ladies and gentlemen, you'll be surprised to know that even today, little children are asked to sit at the back of the school, back of the classroom. It hasn't changed much. The forms of untouchability have changed. But untouchability is still very existent in today's India. You might tell me, you know, which world are you living in? Look at all of us. We're all sitting together. We're all dining together. But I've got data to prove. Not data of the National Campaign on Dalit Human Rights, but data of the National Crime Records Bureau, of which is publicly available data. That's state data. There are 40,000 plus cases of violence of rape registered under the Prevention of Atrocities Act on Dalits and Adivasis. That's a huge number, 40,000. They say that by the end of this day, there'll be 5 women raped on an average, 5 Dalit women raped on an average every day. That's the statistics from the NCRB data. I'm going to narrate a story where people always say that, you know, caste is a rural thing. Caste happens, you know, where it doesn't happen in Delhi, it doesn't happen in Bombay, it doesn't happen in major cities. It only happens maybe, you know, some stray incidents in the villages. I went to rent a house a couple of years ago in Delhi. I'm not from Delhi. And the owner lived downstairs and he was renting the first floor. So I liked the apartment and I agreed, we were about to sign the contract and he turns around and he asks, well, are you vegetarian or a non-vegetarian? So I said, I'm not only non-vegetarian, but I also cook non-vegetarian. So he said, I'm really sorry, but you can technically eat non-vegetarian when you go outside the house, but I'd prefer you not bringing your eating in the house. So I was quite curious, so I asked him, why do you think I can't eat? I'm paying the rent for that space. That space should be my choice, what I do with that space. So he turns around and he gives me this absurd argument. He says that the garbage shaft is shared by both the people living upstairs and us. So basically, my garbage can't mix with his garbage. My garbage is even not worth to be mixed with his garbage. Friends, that's not a joke. That is the cause of purity and pollution. That I find it absurd that somebody gives me an argument that I can't eat non-vegetarian food because my garbage can't mix with his garbage. That's the India that we live in. A young man in Haryana was walking down on a hot summer day. A couple of years ago, this incident happened. It was really hot, so he saw a pot of water, which is for public utility, kept under a tree, and he goes and he drinks this water. After he drinks, there's a group of men who come and surround him and ask him, hey, what's your caste? And he turns around and he says, I'm Dalit. And they take a sword and they chop his hand off. This didn't happen 50 years ago. This happened like about 2 years ago, and very close to Delhi. I can go on narrating experiences. I can go on narrating stories of young girls and boys with dreams and aspirations just like all of you have had, been robbed of those aspirations because of something called caste-based discrimination. I can narrate a story of a little girl. She was I think she had just finished her school and went for her teacher's training. This was the last day of her exam. She gave her exam. On the way back, she was gang raped and murdered. This also happened in Panipat. And when we took up that case, the things that people said is that, this girl is used to being around with boys. So, does that give you the right to rape her and kill her? And there goes, and she was the only member who would be earning in that family, the only educated member. So you're telling me that caste is not a reality? Oftentimes when we talk about caste, the discussion invariably goes to reservation. People don't want to talk about anything else. People don't want to talk about the fact that we are equal contributors to the economy. People only think about quotas of reservation. Let me tell you, friends, reservation is a system that was brought in to undo centuries of oppression on the Dalits and Adivasis. This was not because of economic. This was because they were not poor because, they didn't have money. They were poor because they were excluded from resources. They were excluded from getting what they contributed to the economy. And as long as that exists, there will be reservation and the quota system will continue. We form 25% of the population if you put Dalits and Adivasis together. Dalits are about 16.6 and Adivasis are about 8.6. That's about 25%. If you look at the composition of the media, I can count the journalists on my fingers. If you look at the composition of the corporates, who are the CEOs, who are the vice presidents, there are hardly any. This didn't happen by accident. This happened because it was legitimately drafted and framed in such a way that we were not allowed to get educated in the first place. I was talking to somebody the other day and they said, caste, you're outdated, Beena. We're going to space, We've got a huge space program in this country. But you still have millions of people dying of hunger. You still have many students and young people who do not have access to higher education. Why did Rohit Vemula have to kill himself? Why did he have to kill himself? He had to kill himself to bring attention to the almost terrible state of higher education in this country for Dalits and Adivasis. There's a systemic as well as a systematic exclusion of Dalits and Adivasis from higher education. After years of oppression, after discrimination, they somehow reach these institutions where they're further discriminated by the state, because the scholarships are not released on time, because the schemes are not well drafted and framed, by the policy itself, but also by fellow students. And that's where, if you look around your circles, count what is the diversity among your friends, and you will know who your friends are. My friends, it is a position of privilege that we are all sitting in. It is a location that we are at. We need to get off that position of privilege and look around you, and you will understand that caste is not very far. It's right there in your face. And if you think that caste doesn't affect you, it does. You're probably, because you're at the position of privilege, you don't talk about it, but it's there all around you. I also want to say that if, and I'm going to pose this as a challenge, it's going to be controversial, but I'm still going to do it. If for 24 hours, all the Dalits and Adivasis in the country stop working, for just 24 hours, this country will crash. That's a challenge I'm giving all of us. That is because look at who your cleaners are. Look at why your streets are clean. Look at who the laborers are laboring and building these buildings and streets for you. Check who your domestic help is. She probably would be from the OBC, Dalit or Adivasi caste. If all of them stop to work for 24 hours, I guarantee you this country will crash. It is one of the fastest growing economies, but let's not forget who's contributing to this economy. Let's not forget the hands that are contributing to this economy. Let's not forget the labor that's contributing to this economy. I'd like to end by Rohit Vemula's words, where he says that the value of a man was reduced to his immediate identity and nearest possibility to a vote, to a number, to a thing. Never was a man treated as a mind. Let's get off those seats of privilege. Wake up and smell the coffee. Jai Bhim. Thank you.
उसके साथ जिसने भी सब्सक्राइब नहीं किया गाइस सब्सक्राइब कर देना।
जो लोग सब्सक्राइब नहीं करेंगे वो वीडियो आगे नहीं देख सकते। दबाओ सब्सक्राइब बटन।
नेता टाइप आधा काम मत करो, सब्सक्राइब के साथ साथ बेल आइकॉन भी दबाओ। नेता टाइप आधा काम मत करो, सब्सक्राइब के साथ साथ बेल आइकॉन भी दबाओ।
उसके साथ जिसने भी सब्सक्राइब नहीं किया गाइस सब्सक्राइब कर देना।
नेता टाइप आधा काम मत करो, सब्सक्राइब के साथ साथ बेल आइकॉन भी दबाओ। नेता टाइप आधा काम मत करो, सब्सक्राइब के साथ साथ बेल आइकॉन भी दबाओ।
उसके साथ जिसने भी सब्सक्राइब नहीं किया गाइस सब्सक्राइब कर देना।